All right, so here's the man that's gonna teach me about what I don't know about this thing. So, Caleb Bowen, right?
Owen.
Owen. I was about to say, are you ken any Bowens around here? But Caleb
No.
Owen, and you're out of
Pretty close to Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee. Okay. All right. Teach me.
All right. We'll just go over service points. As far as greasing the machine goes, everybody's different. You normally grease every day.
I usually, well, it's about every 10 hours. That way I know where I'm at. Or what do you recommend?
CAT recommends every 10 hours of operation.
Right. Okay.
Some things they recommend 8 on, just depends on what it is and what kind of machine it is. But as far as these go, every 10 hours be plenty. This thing's gonna have the same service intervals as your 313.
Yeah.
As far as engine oil and stuff, it's on 500-hour intervals.
Seems high for engine oil.
Well, everything that CAT's got now, they're moving service intervals out further.
Yeah.
It kind of helps lower costs for the customer to help keep maintenance costs down some. Yeah. But it's working so far, and CAT's even got some machines now that are on 1,000-hour intervals.
Golly, that's crazy.
The bigger stuff, yeah. But now they're also pulling oil samples pretty regular.
Yeah.
Checking those, I think every 250 hours or something.
Yeah.
Let's see, as far as your final drives go, you'll change oil in them every 2,000 hours, drain and refill. CAT makes 2 different drivetrain oils. They got a 30 weight and a 50 weight. I'm gonna assume that it's got 50 weight in it right now. You can I'd put 50 weight back in it.
Yeah.
Really the 30 and the 50 weight is really, 30 is recommended in the winter and 50 is recommended in the summer, but really that only kind of applies to further up north.
Yeah. Yeah, we can have winter one day and summer the next. So.
I know. I don't know, this year we had a pretty steep winter right there.
Yeah, I didn't think it was ever going to let up.
Let's see, cabin air filters. Of course, you got one in here and one in the cab. They recommend changing those every time you change engine oil, so every 500 hours or as needed.
Yeah.
This one out here is probably going to get the dirtiest, of course. Of course, your washer fluid jug, fuel filter, water separators. They recommend changing these every 500 hours or as needed. Of course, if you get some dirty fuel or trash or something in it, I definitely change them.
I've already had a water separator sensor go out in that one.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll see that, which since they've changed to this new style, it's been a lot better than the older ones that were out, so hopefully they'll stay that way. And these are more accurate too.
Yeah.
That I've seen. You know, I've seen them have, you know, just a thimble full of water in them and it'll tell you.
Yeah.
Of course, when you put the filters on it, put them on dry, turn the key on and let the pump prime it.
So don't pre-fill.
No pre-fill. It does have bleed screws on it if you need to bleed it. Most of the time I don't ever see anybody have to.
Yeah.
And then if you ever do need to drain any water off of it, when you close the valve, just get in there and turn the key back on, let it prime for a minute before you go back to running it hard. Of course, this is a DEF machine. That one, does it have DEF on it too?
I think they're the same engine, I believe.
I believe so. Of course, it's got a chart back here that tells you how much it'll hold at what percent of the tank is empty.
That's pretty neat. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I try to tell people the best thing to do with the DEF system is try to keep it full.
So you recommend keeping it full?
Yes. Because I've seen people run them low until they wait on a fuel truck to get there or something. A lot of other companies out there that, you know, they've got a lube truck that runs to different sites that they're working on all day long.
Yeah.
But they'll run it low and wait on the fuel truck to get there, and then when it gets there, they'll fill it up, and then a lot of times they'll have some issues out of it.
Well, that's usually been me, because my way of thinking was the longer that stuff sits in there, the more it might evaporate out, and then you're left with more deposits.
Right.
But I guess if you keep it full,
yeah. So
because sometimes my stuff may sit for a month. It just depends, and
leaving it full or close to full is probably best for it. So that DEF, any air that can get to it, which a DEF system is supposed to be sealed.
Yeah.
For sure. That's the biggest part about a DEF system, is keeping everything sealed up tight.
Yeah.
So it can't get any air to it. But if, once they start getting low, if for some reason, the vent in the cap or something, it gets jacked up, or, anything can happen. But, any air introduced into the DEF is really a bad thing. But of course it's going to get some air in it when you open the cap and pour it in. But they're
well, I guess I'll start keeping it full now.
Yeah. Normally what I try to tell people is once it gets just below half a tank, it'll hold a whole jug.
Yeah.
Do you buy it by the jug?
Man, what I started doing is I've been keeping my little jugs and buying it from the
fuel station,
from the stations, because it's like
it's cheaper.
Oh, it's way cheaper.
Yeah. That's fine. Just make sure that you keep those jugs clean.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're doing it every day, that's probably okay. But if you ever let them sit out in the sun or anything, the sun is the worst thing for DEF, because it breaks it down, and it'll create moisture in it.
I usually buy it and then put it straight in it. I don't store it or anything like that.
Okay. But yeah, as long as you're doing it every day. But yeah, once it gets just below half a tank, it'll hold a whole jug most of the time. There is a little screen in the filler neck right here that you can pull out and clean if you ever need to. I've seen people get trash in them and stuff in that screen, which it'll keep most everything out of the tank, but it'll collect it in there. But excuse me, but you can take that screen out and wash it out with water. Just dry it real good before you stick it back in there. You got your hydraulic level gauge on the back, inside that little hole right there. Just leaning over right now.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that in there.
Yeah. That is 10-weight hydraulic oil, or advanced 10. Just about every cab machine that we've got runs that, and they have for a long time now. Hydraulic oil fills here. Just make sure everybody or anybody that you ever hire or anything like that to help you, just make sure they don't swap up DEF for hydraulic oil or vice versa. That's a terrible thing.
Yeah, I bet.
If you put DEF in a hydraulic tank, that's pretty much asking for.
Yeah, that's game over.
Yeah, it's
I've
bad.
replaced a lot of hydraulic pumps because they've gotten water in them.
Yeah. Well, that DEF, not only has it got water in it, but that urea, it will eat a hydraulic system all to pieces.
Yeah.
That's, as you can see, hydraulic filter and powertrain filter, they're all the same. You'll change it every 1,000 hours. Power disconnect and batteries, of course, wait till the light goes out to cut the disconnect off. Basically what that's doing is it's pulling all the DEF back out of the system and putting it back in the tank.
Yeah.
Is what that light's indicating. Of course, you got a little panel here that raises up out of there.
That's neat.
Everything's pretty easy to get to now. Engine oil filter, fuel filters, engine air filters are 500-hour service intervals. The engine air filter, I like to tell people they're 500 hours or as needed.
Yeah.
Of course, dozer most of the time it's not gonna, or a smaller dozer, they're not gonna collect as much dust. With what you're doing out here, it's not really dusty right now, so that's a good thing. But of course, for years, people have been in the habit of blowing air filters out. Cat pretty much says that's a big no-no.
Really?
Yeah. And it's hard to get away from because they're going to collect dirt. That's just what they're made to do.
Yeah.
You know, if you need to, I'd like to tell people to take it out and knock it against something and get as much of the dirt out of it as you can.
Yeah.
But air pressure is the biggest problem with that. People blow holes in them and stuff like that, and most of the time you can't even see it.
Yeah. I could see that happening with a compressed air anyway.
You know, if I've heard of some people say they'll use like a leaf blower or something, more volume than pressure. That'd probably be okay.
I've done that a time or two, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
But I could see the compressed air, you blowing holes in that fiber and stuff.
Yeah.
So you just don't have no compressor out here, so.
Right. But what I normally tell people is if you need to get any of the dirt out of it just to get you going until you can get a filter or something, leave the inner filter in it and just do it to the outer one.
Yeah.
As long as it's not getting dirt on that inner filter, it's doing its job.
Yeah.
Of course, it is a cartridge style engine oil filter.
That's nice.
Yeah. Forever they've had that spin-on filter down underneath the frame down there on the side of the oil pan or on the side of the block, whatever. But they were a pain to get to, so now you can just open that up and pull it out of there. Your service interval on your engine coolant is every 3,000 hours. They want you to replace it, drain and refill, flush if you need to, but always make sure it's got some in the jug. That way it can pull some out of there if it needs to.
Yeah.
As far as tension in your tracks goes, everybody's kind of different on how they do it. You want a little sag in the low points on the top of the track. You can get you a string with a plumb bob on each end of it and long enough to drape over both ends of the track, and measure the distance between the track pad and the string.
I got you.
There's a procedure to do it in the manual too, but that's what I found to be the easiest. A lot of people do it by eye, just however you think you would want to do it, but of course you don't want them tight.
Yeah.
And you don't want them loose like they are right now. How many hours on it now?
I think I was like 13, I
13.
think. So
Yeah.
I ain't even ran a tank of gas through it.
Good. Yeah, so right now I like to tell people just keep an eye on them. It'll probably be several hours before you'll have to put any tension on them again. As far as tension in them goes, there's a plate right there. It's got 2 bolts in it, maybe 4. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's got 2 bolts in it. Just take the bolts out. It's got a grease alamite in there to tension them up, just like your excavator does. It's essentially the same setup.
Do you do it with it sitting flat, or should you raise it up, or?
Just sitting flat. And another thing to keep an eye on too is if you do end up having to tension them, try to get as much of the debris out of them as you can. Maybe track it back and forth before you do it. Try to knock some of that stuff out of there loose.
Yeah.
That way it doesn't have any way to bind it up or something if you tighten them and it gets something hung in it or something. I had a point, so that lifting chart on this thing, as far as the weight, I had a guy, I was actually in Ripley yesterday and there was a guy asking me about a skid steer. Because on that skid steer, the lifting chart says that it weighed, I can't remember what he said, like 12,000 pounds or something like that. And really that lifting chart is just for really crane rigging. If somebody needs to lift it and set it somewhere or something like that, really that's for their rigging.
Yeah.
I've noticed, because if you look up the spec in the spec log or something like that, it'll tell you exactly what the machine weighs.
Yeah, that's saying what, 29,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about 9,000 more than I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. But that guy also said something to me yesterday. He's got a buddy that works, I guess he's DOT or something like that down here, and he said that chart is what they go by. I said, oh
No.
I said, they can't go by that. That's everybody around here to be overloaded.
Oh yeah, easy.
uh,
I ain't even looked at that one. I wonder if that's got a, because if that's 9,000 over, then that's nearly a 40,000 pound machine by that chart.
Yeah, each one of them is different, but that's, I guess they do it for, and I think, see, it's got a picture of the manual on the corner of it right there. That just tells them how to rig it up to lift it from overhead.
Yeah,
is what it is. I guess we put the brush rack or the
no, you can't tell by the welds. I did that.
You did?
I ain't tore it off yet, so
Be all right.
no. Bubba dropped the ball on that as usual.
Did he?
I ordered this thing back in like September of last year.
Yeah.
And it came in a month ago, but I said, you know, I'm doing land clearing. I want everything on it, sweeps and screens. I said, I want a root rake. It came in, no root rake. Didn't have the side screens on it when they delivered it. You know, the one that he said was mine that I went and looked at when it came in had screens on it, because I took a picture of it. You know, I was proud of it or whatever, so I took a picture of it and sent it to a couple people. Then a buddy texted me a few days or after they delivered it and said, you need to get some side screens on it. And I looked, I was like, holy hell, they ain't got no side screens on it. So I said, Bubba, you brought me the wrong dozer. He said, no, that one's yours. So I got on him and they got me the side screens for it. But
yeah,
no, I got that from a guy in Upora.
fine to me. I mean,
well, I mean,
it's gonna be in the brush.
Yeah, it's doing what it needs to, so I'm happy with it.
Have you ever used any of the slope assist stuff before?
No.
Okay.
See, this is the only dozer I've ever had.
Really?
I ain't never even been in one till I got this one, so.
We'll go over some of this other stuff while it's doing its thing, but of course on your monitor you got, well, there it comes. So these two right here are just showing you main fall and pitch of the machine body, not of the blade.
Yeah.
Of course you got engine coolant temperature, hydraulic oil temperature, fuel level, depth level, forward and reverse gears, or speed ranges, either one. Let's see. You can turn off the brake pedal decelerator and use it just as a brake, instead of it idling the engine down if you want to.
What would be the benefit to that?
And I don't really know. Everybody's always run a dozer with a decelerator pedal.
Yeah.
The only time I've seen that, so Cat does make a D1 with a mulcher on it.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
I didn't know what machine it was running on, but
it's
that's
on
a
that.
D1.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's on. It's a bad dude.
I was about to say that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So the brake pedal decelling it, of course, you can't really idle the engine down while you're running the mulcher.
Yeah.
So that's the only use I've really seen it for. Now we did have we ended up putting a one of those big shaker plows on the back of a D4 for an electrical company up in Lake Obion County last year.
Yeah.
They used it for that too, because they could slow the machine down and leave the shaker plow running.
Yeah.
If you were running something other than the blade on it, that'd probably be what it'd be good for.
Yeah.
Maybe a winch or something. It's got traction control, just kind of like a vehicle does now. Basically, it tries to keep both tracks spinning at the same speed all the time.
Hell. That's crazy.
You can turn it on or off. I've heard a lot of people tell me they push a lot better with it on.
Yeah.
Stable blade, lift and tilt. Basically, it's modulating the hydraulics a little finer. It kind of goes along with ease of operation and helping with the slope assist too, if you've got to correct anything.
I've noticed, like, sometimes when I've been out here pushing, when I get it loaded up, especially with the mud and stuff, I can see it. Is it already doing that somewhat? Because I can see that blade floating left to right, or, you know, not up and down, side to side. Is it already trying to do that, or is that just the ground?
It may just be the ground moving underneath it.
I didn't know if it would, like, whenever I would set it to where I wanted it, if it would try to maintain that.
It will.
Okay, so I guess that's what I'm saying. It's wanting to maintain wherever I got it sitting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here we'll go over your slope assist. So this will be the slope assist screen. To actuate any of these, you got to touch them and turn them on. You can set them individually. Of course, this one's going to be your main fall. This one's going to be your slope. These two are just telling you where the blade is sitting. And let's see, the buttons underneath here, that's going to be your match slope button. So like where the blade's sitting right now, you can match where it's sitting at, and you can take off. The yellow button on your joystick is going to be your autos. So the biggest thing about the slope assist is knowing really what your grade is going to be.
Yeah.
Of course, it's once you use it for a little while, you'll kind of get the hang of it. It's pretty easy to use. It's not like it's not GPS driven. It's only driven off of what's on the machine.
I got you.
So you've got to tell it what you want out of it. But basically, knowing how much cut or fill you want in something, you've got to tell it, you know, and it'll maintain it once you put it in there. But or how much slope. Really running it and seeing it work is where it's going to kind of be at. This button here is going to be your swap slope. So either one of those you can take and swap the slope on. If you're blading on this side of a slope and you want to turn around on the other side and swap it the other way, so you can go back that way.
That's pretty cool.
And the same way with your cut and fill. So the way it works is once you get it set to whatever grade you need it to be, you'll put the machine in forward and ease off the decelerator, and you'll push your auto button, and it's gonna, well, it won't do it right now because it's locked out, but basically it's gonna turn both of those boxes green, and it's gonna maintain the blade at that main fall and that slope. Really, it takes a while to get used to, but what I try to tell people is it's made for finishing. It's not really made for hogging a bunch of dirt out, you know. So try to get as much done as you can yourself and get it pretty close, or close-ish, I guess you'd say. And then use this to finish it up with it. When you first start out with it, what are you gonna put back here? Are you just clearing this for somebody?
Yeah, they're gonna put a house eventually. Yeah.
So you could do a house pad with this thing.
Yeah.
You could do their driveway. So yeah, you could take and set this thing flat 0 all the way across. And once you get that in there, you hit your auto button, the blade's going to go to 0, and it's going to maintain 0 all the way.
Will it do that? Say the dozer's, of course, sitting downhill right now.
Yeah.
If you put that in, will that blade go to 0, or is it going to be 0 to the dozer?
So it's going to be zeroed. So when these machines are new, they've got to be measured up and calibrated.
Yeah.
So basically they'll measure, it's got a sensor in it called an inertial measurement unit is what it's called. Basically it wants to know where the machine is sitting, or how much slope it's sitting on flat on the ground.
Yeah.
And they'll go through and they'll measure it up and give the machine the measurements. Most of the time it's done on concrete pad or something flat.
Yeah.
Now it also wants them to tell it how much clearance it's got between the grouser and the ground, or the flat of the track pad and the ground.
Yeah.
So it knows that, so that way when the grousers get all the way in the ground and the pads are flat, that way the blade knows, or the machine knows, to raise the blade some. That way it's not trying to cut more than what you've got put in there.
I got you.
So basically it counteracts for how the machine moves.
Right.
Side to side, main fall, up and down, in the front and the back. So if you went off a dip or something, it's going to raise the blade.
I got you. So it's pretty much, well, it's kind of hard to compare this to the 313 as far as a grade control, but
Yeah.
I can see it kind of still doing the same, versus this is the bucket where,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's I mean, with the dozer you've really got, it's only doing one job most of the time, so
Yeah.
there's not really much else that they can incorporate into this, I don't think, other than putting a system on it and being full
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 GPS.
GPS or 3D or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
But but it's pretty accurate.
Can you set up a lock screen on here?
I've had,
Like, on that one, you got a key code to turn it on or whatever.
yeah,
Can you lock this one?
I don't think you can, and I don't know why.
What I don't like is having to lock both doors. Like, if it's just one door, but going on that side to this side, and everybody's got a damn cat key. So
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to lock these other than in the settings there is a
that don't make sense.
where's it at? There's a screen lock.
So that's just so you just can't touch nothing now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's all that's in these, and I don't really understand that. Every other machine we've got's got.
Yeah, that's
Passcode you
crazy.
put in 'em.
Especially with this type of screen.
Yeah.
It's only got one camera, right?
Yes. I could probably hook ET to it and see if I can put a code in it.
It ain't no big deal. I like being able to, have some type of lock on it, but
Yeah. Well, with these, the master power switch, a lot of times, what I've noticed some people do on dozers is when they cut the master power off to it and just pull the key out of
take
it.
the key.
'Cause
Yeah.
everybody's got a cat key, but not everybody's got one of those.
Yeah. That's what my brother-in-law says. He's all time jumping in my stuff. Sometimes I'll take the master out. He said, "I got a cat, but I ain't got one of them master keys."
And there's I think there's two different master keys now. So a lot of people may have an older one,
Yeah.
but it won't fit in a lot of the newer stuff.
Yeah.
But,
There's only one other complaint I have about this thing,
mhm.
and that's the stupid radio's not Bluetooth. What kind of crap is that?
It is, and you can talk on it.
Yeah, but I
But
can't.
you can't
I
play
can't.
music
Yeah.
off of it.
What's the deal?
And they were putting, I think it was a Delphi radio in these for a long time. These and the skid steers. And I don't know if they can't get that radio anymore or what happened to it, but they went with this one, and it's
Probably the cheapest and the only thing on the shelf. Really, it's probably when it was built.
well, and it may be something that's the only thing they can get, or something that I don't know.
I gotta change that.
Really, I'm surprised they haven't incorporated that into the
Yeah.
monitor yet. These and the skid steers. I wish they would.
That's what I figured, because that, that's all in the screen.
Yeah.
It just don't make no sense.
Just about every machine is, except for I want to say it's dozers and skid steers. Maybe a wheel loader or some of the smaller wheel loaders.
Yeah. I know, because this thing is nice. Like, I don't have to come from a crappy dozer to realize this thing is like really nice.
Mhm.
Like I told Bubba, I said, hell, if push comes to shove, I'll get rid of that and keep my dozer. Because you could sit in this thing all day and be comfortable.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they wouldn't have Bluetooth and.
Well, there was at one time they had a bunch of other options for these things, and I bet they probably still do. So anything extra you get added to a machine is a lane 3 order, I think is what they call it. Something that we don't normally order.
Yeah.
Like at one time they had a switch over here for the power pitch control of the blade, like forward and backwards. Like you could roll the blade forward and backwards. And most of them have always got that manual one on it that you just use that wrench pin to the top of it. Alright, so we'll go back to the home screen, but in your settings and machine settings, you can change the blade modulation for just about every function on here. It's got normal, you got steering modulation, stable blade, you can turn it on or off. It's also got just basic lift or lift and tilt. Basically it's just trying to keep the blade more stable. It does exactly what it says. It just keeps the blade more stable than if you run a lot of the older machines with just standard hydraulic controls, it's basically all or nothing. Well, these you can modulate them.
Oh, you talking about like dang, my mind done went blank too. Proportion.
Yeah, basically you can proportion it a little easier instead of having to correct it all the time.
Yeah.
Let's see, your steering modulation. It's got low, medium, and high. I'd run each one and see which one you like best. They're all a little different. I don't see people change them off of medium or normal, whatever setting it's on. The blade modulations, they're in fine, normal, and coarse. I'd tell you to run each one of those and see which one of those you like better too. Normal is just standard operation. Some people get into fine grading stuff and they like a fine mode.
Yeah.
Basically.
Now that's going off the joystick, right?
Yes.
Or how fast it responds, or
yeah, basically how the electrical side of it responds with the valve that actuates
I got you.
any of these functions.
I got you.
But it's got it for raise, lower, tilt.
I guess the only thing that I may play with that I would like it to be better is to tilt a little bit faster.
The side-to-side tilt or the angle?
The side-to-side tilt.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've noticed I would like it to be a little more quicker. But then again, I may change it and realize, well, no, I don't like that. I want what I had. But
yeah, you could change it to coarse and see if you like it like that. I mean, if not, you can always change them back. Of course, your auto engine speed, you can disable it, or it'll idle itself down after 30 seconds of not seeing any movement from any function.
Does that only work? Because I've noticed on your
economy mode.
So it only works on eco, right?
No, it'll work on, I think it'll do it on any mode except for economy. Economy kind of controls itself as far as fuel savings goes.
Let's change that. Let's go to 10, yeah. Because that's what I couldn't figure out. I don't know if I just didn't give enough time or whatever, because I said, well, hell, this thing ain't got a, whatever you want to call it. But then I noticed on eco it would do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's just the eco mode.
So. Yeah, that economy mode is, it's just a fuel savings mode is basically what it is.
Well, I know I don't really like running it in that, but then again, I couldn't figure out how to get the engine to auto down. So, glad you showed me that.
You can set custom forward and reverse speeds if you don't want to modulate them with your thumb wheel all the time. You can just set them in there as fast as you want them or slow as you want them, and just hit OK, and it'll save it. And then every time you go from forward to reverse, it'll save it in there, and you won't have to change anything.
That's pretty nice. Yeah.
Let's see, traction control. It's got low slip and normal mode. Low slip is not recommended with auto carry enable. So your auto carry they're talking about is basically auto carry for your slope assist. I'd leave it in normal mode as long as you're running normally. Low slip is going to be, in a lot of wet ground, sloppy ground, something like that. Normal mode though is what I'd run in all the time. If you ever get it stuck for any reason, I would turn it off before you're having somebody help you get it out or anything like that. If you got somebody in the dozer and you're having to be in the excavator pulling it or something.
You talking about turning the slip off?
Yeah, just
or the traction control?
Yeah.
Okay.
That way it's not trying to work against itself while you're trying to get it out.
Makes sense. I hope I never get it stuck, but
yeah, hopefully not. In your slope assist, so the two black buttons right here on the joystick as well. With your slope assist, they can raise or lower, so your joystick increment, decrement, you can set it to change main fall, or you can set it to change blade slope while you're running it. So if you see that you need to raise the blade just a hair, you can set it for just main fall. So you can set it for main fall and just bump it and raise the blade a little, and you can change the step size of it for each one. So if you wanted to do
that's pretty cool.
a 1/10 of a percent on each one, you could just hit the button and raise it.
It's pretty neat.
You can change the valve speed of it, raise, lower, tilt. So if the tilt's not fast enough, you could raise it and it'll speed it up for you. I'd probably go in increments of 5, which I think it does that anyway, but just go 1 notch at a time until you get it where you want it to be.
There's quite a bit to this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can set a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. I mean, it's real operator specific. There's a lot of guys that want different things out of one. Yeah. So
I'll probably forget most of it by the time I get on a pad job or something.
You can always call me and I'll help you out. As far as the blade wear goes, I wouldn't mess with it. Most of the time, if people are doing a lot of finishing with these things, they're not gonna stop and check blade wear
Yeah.
as far as how much the cutting edge is wore. But I've noticed when they do, it'll if you put the wrong measurement in it, it'll throw everything else off too.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
I can
kind of
see
have to
that.
be careful
Yeah.
with doing that, because a lot of this stuff is in whole feet. It's not in inches, or which it says millimeters right there. So if I don't know if they've changed it or what, but yeah. So it wants it in millimeters. So if you put a large number in there or something, it's going to throw it off quite a bit. But yeah, most of the time people are going to put a new cutting edge on them when it needs it anyway. You can control any of the alarms that it's got on it. It's got great control alarms. You can turn the volume down on it if you want to. You can turn the reference lines for the rear view camera on and off. Also, you can full screen the camera, leave it on all the time. It'll maintain your slope assist stuff.
Yeah.
But it also comes on in reverse anyway still, and it's always on the home screen. Your information stuff. If you ever have any questions about anything on it, any of the key features, like your slope assist, it'll tell you about how the slope assist works in here. If you hit the play button, it'll go through the operating tips and tell you a lot of what you need to know. But
that's pretty cool. It's got a built-in tutorial on it.
Yeah, it's got your speed recall in there, which I forgot about it. But basically, you can preset a forward or reverse speed in it, and then just push the speed recall button and it'll go back to it.
So if you're not at a slope assist or whatever, do these buttons change? Because I noticed like this button does the
blade shake.
Yeah, the blade shake.
Yeah, these buttons, I don't think they'll do anything outside of slope assist, but this one does do the blade shake. Of course, you got your horn button, your speed recall button.
How do you float the blade?
Over detent.
Okay.
It's got a little detent position right there.
I got you.
And
I was pushing buttons and everything, trying to. So I'm gonna figure it out or screw something up one, but
yeah,
I didn't know it had a detent.
Yeah. Your armrests are adjustable on the sides. That's the door.
Okay, I didn't even see them. Oh hell.
It'll raise the whole armrest up.
I'm short, so I gotta keep them close to me.
Yeah. Me too. It is ripper ready, so it's got the ripper valve on it. If you ever wanted to put one on it. So you got your parking brake switch, of course, implement lock, and then your work lights. Other than that,
that's about it, ain't it?
That's about it.
All right, so Buddy just left here. He we went over the grease points too, make sure I didn't miss anything. That's pretty simple on the greasing part. And I did ask him about that ball, about greasing it, and he told me kind of what to do about it, or what he recommends, but there's no Alamite for that, the main pivot joint there, whatever it is. But that's basically all about the D3. There's a lot to that grading stuff that you can do and set up. Of course, I'll just have to get a job specifically has a lot more grading on it than this type stuff. I'll probably forget half the stuff he showed me, but anyway, I hope y'all kind of enjoyed that. But I'm about to jump back on this thing and get to work. And he did show me some things and set up a little bit to adjust this thing, make it a little bit faster. And it is a world of difference. Just what little he did change in that. If y'all want to see that, just let me know and I'll try to make a little clip of my next video of what to set up in this thing. But it's a night and day difference. I'm gonna have to relearn it now because it's so much faster in some areas. So all right, well, I appreciate y'all watching, and hope some of y'all might have learned something, or if we missed anything, y'all, I'm sure y'all will let me know. But I'll holler at y'all later.